Good morning. Hope you're off to a great start to your week wherever you are. It's already shaping up to be a really busy week. We're in the final week of May, going into a holiday weekend. And of course, for many of us, it's the end of the school year, which is its own vortex of chaos, as I'm fully experiencing right now about what's going on with your children, where you need to be, when you need to pick them up. So if you're going through that, I certainly relate. For those of you who are not, who may have family, friends, or colleagues experiencing it, perhaps give them a little bit of grace this week and next, because it is bananas. It is bananas, folks, and that is a fact. So I didn't want the news to be something else that you're worried about. And there's quite a bit of headlines that have developed over the weekend and really early on Monday morning. So I just wanted to give you a quick hit of what's going on with these news stories, so you have some context for the week ahead as they develop. And a lot of these stories can really impact us directly. So it's worth it to take just a few minutes to talk about what's going on. Some of the big headlines that you're seeing on Monday have been generated by the American president. President Biden is traveling overseas to Asia. It's his first trip as president. He's been to Asia many times, but this is his first presidential trip to Asia. He's been there for a few days. He's visiting some of our key allies in the region, including South Korea and Japan. There's always an eye towards China, of course, with these trips, and countering perhaps what's perceived as China's aggression in the region and otherwise. And of course, we're always watching North Korea. North Korea is a state sponsor of terror, a nuclear nation. We know that there's been a series of military tests in recent weeks that's been looked at as provocative action. So there's a lot going on in this region to pay close attention to. But it's what the president said about Taiwan that's getting the headlines generated around the world. So just big picture on this. The United States has what we call the One China policy. And I'm just going to be very basic about this. What the one China policy is that we recognize the sovereignty of China. Now, China, as part of its sovereignty, of what it recognizes as its territory, believes that Taiwan is part of China. Taiwan doesn't believe that. Taiwan is working as an independent state. And the United States has been trying to walk this tightrope for many decades of saying to China, we recognize your sovereignty, we respect you, but we're also going to have these conversations with Taiwan because Taiwan is strategically important. It's a strategically important island, which I'll get to in a moment. And so there's always this tension about, well, where does the United States really stand? What we say publicly versus what we're doing behind the scenes to support Taiwan that could be undermining what China really wants. So what the president said today is he was asked a question about whether or not the United States would defend Taiwan militarily if China was to become more aggressive and move towards taking back Taiwan officially as part of its territory, take military action against Taiwan. And the president said, yes, we would take action. And I'm paraphrasing here what the president said, which is a very dangerous thing to do, by the way, when words really matter. But this got a lot of headlines because it's really the first time the president, American president, in this particular way, has said, yes, we would actually defend Taiwan. We would, and he's not saying this directly, but this is what you can read into it, is we would take up arms against China. We're going to defend Taiwan against China. That got a negative reaction in China. Taiwan, of course, liked that comment. And the White House has tried to clarify, say, no, the president's saying that we would help Taiwan defend its independence, which again is sort of muddled as well. So this is getting a lot of attention because it's a point of contention over the years between China and the United States. And so we'll see how this story develops in the next several hours. But the reason how this really impacts you potentially is Taiwan is a huge producer of semiconductor chips. So semiconductors are those little miniature brain chips that go into just about everything that we use, from our phones to our cars to everything in between. And so although China and the United States may have a disagreement about Taiwan, and there may be tension over Taiwan, both China and the United States actually need Taiwan to continue to manufacture these semiconductors. And that is something that industry has been disrupted by the pandemic overall. That's caused other delays in other industries. So we really have an idea of how important semiconductors are to the entire world economy. So that's why it's in Taiwan. It's not just this, small island territory that there's a lot of disagreement over. It's actually this small island that is super important for the global economy overall. And so that's part of the story that we can never forget as we see two superpowers, the two largest economies in the world, kind of go back and forth on their policy policy on Taiwan. So I want you to be aware of that. One of the other things that the president talked about in this press conference is monkeypox. So just a kind of a turn here. Monkeypox is a virus that is in the same family, large family, as smallpox. But monkeypox, which can cause all these flu-like symptoms and these horrible pox on your skin, can make you pretty sick. It's seldom fatal, but can be, is endemic to Africa. So endemic means that it is a virus or a disease that's pretty specific to a certain area. Sometimes we talk about COVID being endemic to certain regions. Well, could we have endemic COVID in certain parts of the world or certain parts of the United States? But when we're talking about anything endemic like this, like monkeypox is really only in Africa. It's kind of like malaria. Oh, we know that malaria is endemic to Africa. And so what's happened over the last week or so, few weeks, is that monkeypox cases have surfaced around the world in many countries, including the United States. And there's been this question about, well, how did the monkeypox virus get from Africa? What's the connection? If it's endemic to Africa, how did it get out to the broader world where we normally don't see these cases? And so the World Health Organization, the CDC, there's some attention on this in these cases that have come up. The president made some comments about that, and a reason to not be as concerned. He was kind of tempering a level of concern about this. Monkeypox is spread sometimes through respiratory droplets, more likely really close contact with someone's skin or their clothes, something like that. But we had Belgium become the first country in the world to issue a quarantine guidance for anyone that tests positive for monkeypox. They have a few cases in their country. So it's just something to be aware of. Scary, right, to hear anything that's sort of in the smallpox family, but something to be aware of because you have health officials tracking this and wondering, well, where are these cases all coming from and how did they move from Africa to the broader world? And how much bigger can this outbreak become? Right now, we're just under 100 cases. Of course, we expect that to grow over the next several days and weeks. So something that we'll be watching as well. In the meantime, I want to talk to you a little bit about what's going on in the United States. Also, sort of something that the president's been talking a lot about. So we're going to follow some of these important comments from the president about the baby formula shortage. Over the weekend, we saw some of the first military flights come from Europe bringing baby formula to the United States. So this is part of the White House's plan where they can move unilaterally. They don't need Congress to try to help fill the gaps in this shortage issue that continues. That's important. We're going to continue to see the White House do that over the next several days. But what I want to bring up to you is actually an editorial that was published this weekend by the chairman and CEO of Abbott. Abbott is the big company that makes a lot of different things, including baby formula. And this is the company that shut down the manufacturing plant in Michigan that produces a lot of the nation's baby formula, including some specialty formula that not only babies but other children need. And so what I thought was important about this op-ed is that the CEO is really trying to take responsibility about what is taking place. So let me just read you this comment. He goes, "We believe our voluntary recall was the right thing to do. We will not take risks when it comes to the health of children. The data collected during the investigation, genetic sequencing, retained product samples, and available product from the 4 complaints, these are the incidents of babies getting sick or dying, did not find any connection between our products and the 4 reported illnesses in children. However, the FDA's investigation did discover a bacteria in our plant that we will not tolerate. I have high expectations of this company, and we fell short of them." So there you can see, again, there's still no direct connection by the company or, quite frankly, by the U.S. government between what happened to these infants and specifically a specific product in the factory. But this factory has remained closed. One of the things that's happened over the last couple weeks, or really the last several days, is that there's going to be a fast track to try to get this factory opened up safely again. And the CEO comments on this because he's going to be working with the government to do this. What I think is most important about this is that the CEO says this factory can come back online perhaps by the first week of June, but it's going to take another 6 to 8 weeks to get product from the factory out again. So think about that. That really gives you an idea. For those of you, I don't have a baby that's drinking formula anymore. I have an appreciation for it because I did it one time. Some of you, this is not something necessarily you experience directly in your life, and I get that. What's really interesting about this comment is a realization of how long it takes a product to come to market. So it's not just that there's a shortage now. It's that even if this factory comes back in line, we're still talking about, I mean, let's say it's 2 months conservatively. That gets us to August, but that's if everything goes correctly, right? It could take even longer than that. That gets us back into almost into the school year yet again. And that gives you an idea that we could be in this shortage issue really for the summer, which again emphasizes why the White House is trying to get more involved and move goods from Europe into the United States, try to fill some of these gaps, and why you have other producers moving as quickly as they can, but they can't get the product to the market as quickly as they'd like to. So again, big picture, yes, this is a story about baby formula and certainly impacting families. We're seeing more reports also of infants coming to hospitals for taking formula that isn't correct for them. Maybe they have a sensitivity, food allergy, but parents are trying to give them something different. They're having a reaction, or sometimes people are trying to make their own formula, which can be very difficult to do. So we're seeing some more cases of infants going to the hospital because of that. But it's not just about baby formula. This is about supply chain issues as well. And just a realization, even with the technology that we have, how long it takes things to get to market, how that can affect certain industries, but also affect the broader economy. You got a lot of people that want to buy baby formula. They can't do it. So imagine that on a couple other items that could be really important for households and people wanting to spend money, they can't. There's a broader economic impact to that. So just something to be aware of. So those are a couple stories to know about as you go into your week. The travels of the president. We'll continue to watch any of those ripple effects from the comments about Taiwan. We'll continue to watch the development about monkeypox. Again, a scary name, but we'll keep an eye on it for you. And then, of course, you have the baby formula shortage that continues to be a really big story around the United States and around the rest of the world. So if you have questions and comments on any of these stories, please let me know. I'll be back with some more quick hits for you, hopefully a little quicker than this, to get you going on your days as you kind of move into a very busy summer season. But thank you for all your support for Smarter News, and I'll be back with more on smarternews.com. Have a great day.
Quick, concise, nonpartisan Smarter News, a refuge from the storm. I'm Jenna. Thank you for choosing Smarter.